Preston and Steve on 93.3 WMMR.
Mr. M. Night Shyamalan. Here in our studio. Night, thanks for coming by. We appreciate it.
Well, this is fun. This is actually the very first thing I'm doing for the movie. I've said no to a million things, but my assistants in my office said, you guys are the greatest.
We love your assistants. Well, we've been huge fans for so long, and you know, at times when you've gotten down on some of your movies and reviews, we've been like championing them to other people, like Unbreakable, for example. And this movie, the genesis of this movie follows the same story I heard from Preston about how you got into the Airbender. Go ahead.
Through my kids, same thing that happened. They were watching it every day, and I kind of blew it off here and there. You know, Nickelodeon's on all the time.
Right.
And I had the occasion where I had a few minutes to sit down, and I started to watch it, and it was cute and all. And then I'm like, what? It's got some heavy drama.
It's much deeper.
Well.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it was a strange story, actually, because I think for the last, luckily for me, for 10 years, I've been getting to make movies that I make up in my head. I've been looking for kind of a larger scale movie to do, and actually the first Harry Potter was the first thing that ever fell in that category, and we talked about it and talked with the family about moving to London and all this stuff, and it didn't happen, and there was a lot of other conversations about the other franchises that have been now are iconic now, and it never quite fit. It just never came together, like this moment where I was like, I can say something that I'm not a hired gun. You know, it's not the thing I do. I don't just fit into a box. I need to be able to be myself.
Well, I believe you were talking about The Godfather, and you said, which is you think the greatest. Well, I'd have to agree, the greatest American film,
absolutely,
of all time, and that you were looking for a project that was something that you could take hold of, that you necessarily wasn't born from your own mind.
Right. Actually, yes, right. The Godfather thing was that Coppola didn't want to make it. Right, and they were like, "Oh, you're an Italian American. This would be a great fit." And he was making his own personal movies.
Right.
And then, he agreed to do it eventually, probably for financial reasons and things like that. But in the end, he can't help being a personal filmmaker. So he took that incredible story and imbued it with all this personal touches, and it came out to be this perfect balance. So, like, the hope was that I'd find something like that one day, that I could do something very personal, but in a story that I didn't come up with.
And you found it with The Last Airbender.
Anyway, I asked my agents and everybody, find me one of these things, just keep sending them, I'll keep meeting and talking. Sure. And then it became a ritual at the breakfast table that I'd say, I got offered this today, and the kids would be like, yeah, and I turned it down, and they would be like, don't even tell us.
Was there sort of a dichotomy in your reaction to wanting it and then not wanting to screw it up for your kids, who are obviously huge fans of the show?
Well, luckily, my goal was I said to my agents at the time, and said, find me something before it becomes the Da Vinci Code, before it becomes Harry Potter, just right at the beginning, so I can be a part of its growth and its presentation to the world. And the funny thing is, it didn't come from my agents. It came from my 7-year-old daughter, who kept talking about this show, and I was like, okay, already, And then finally we sat down and watched it, and I had this same reaction. I was like, this is the greatest story I've heard in forever. Yeah. And then I came up into the kitchen, and we had watched like 4 hours straight of the show. We got it on DVD, and then I came up and we were going to eat dinner and grabbed the fridge, and I was like, this would make a great movie. And everyone in the house went nutso. And my wife, who really is kind of, tolerant of my career, was so into this beyond belief. And she's like, call them now. It was like midnight or so. I was like, call them now. Make sure you could do this. So, I actually asked to make this movie. No one hired me to do it. I went to Paramount, went to Viacom, and I said...
Was there a lot of selling? I mean, does an M. Night Shyamalan have to really sell hard when you take hold of a project? Did you have to really push for it?
Oh
really?
Yeah, because now studios owned by corporations, and there's committees and everything, and they go, how much is it going to cost? And I say, blah, 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 and they go, what?
Well, what impresses me, you talk about, the show itself is an anime style.
Right.
And it's done by guys who are not, they seem like this, white dudes, non-ethnic dudes, and they've captured the style. And everyone I know, and I've seen, I'm a fan of the series as well, you nail it visually. In fact, when the trailer first started playing, before your name, I would never have associated you, because you make beautiful looking movies, but this is just not your style, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, in Unbreakable, I wanted to, and a little bit in Lady, there's a little bit of kind of an approach about it, making it feel like opera a little bit.
Right.
And I got to do that with Airbender because of the scale and the costumes and everything.
And you were drawn to the martial arts and the spiritual stuff associated with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally custom made for me.
Yeah.
It's all my interests like in one place. And I've wanted to do CGI. Look, I'm not like a techie geek, well, let me refute. Let me say that again. I'm not drawn to the technical aspect of things like Spielberg and Jackson, and Lucas. Those guys just they love it. They get off on it. Give me a dinner table scene. I will write you a 7-minute scene that'll make you scared. I love doing that.
Well, that's the interesting part, is because you can bring that to even there's a scene in Unbreakable, which with all the incredible stuff that's going on, or in a number of movies, but this one just jumps out to me when Robin Wright and is kind of talking to Bruce Willis, and she's trying to say it's okay if you've gone outside the marriage a little bit,
right.
And the dialogue and the way you direct that, to me, is so brilliant and so indicative of what the real power of an M. Night Shyamalan film is, that even while all this big stuff's going on, it's the people.
Yeah, no, I'm at the end of the day a character based filmmaker. And
right.
I talked with a PhD in English once, who told me the stories of two different axis. One is the plot that shoots upward, and then there's a character that goes horizontal. And if you go too much horizontal, people start to get antsy.
Sure.
So it's always that challenge of keeping that graph moving upward with the plot. And this had so many inherently amazing characters that I could really spend time on them.
Now, this is it going to follow the storyline basically from the television show all the way to the end? Yeah,
luckily I got involved before they had actually finished the 3rd season, and so we talked about how the structure was going to be. And so basically the storyline revolves around, it's a fantasy world where there are 4 nations, and they can each manipulate one element: earth, water, fire, and air. And every generation there's one individual born that can manipulate all 4. This person has to train in all 4 to master it, but they're capable of mastering all 4. And they become like the Dalai Lama, the balance of the world. Everyone looks to them and sees, wow, everything's equal. That's the kind of the purpose of this person. Well, this kid is told that he's the next Avatar, which is this person, and he runs away from his obligations. I wrote a new thriller, a new psychological thriller, and I'm trying to squeeze it in before we shoot, if we get a chance to shoot the second one. The thing about this situation is, I won't really, I could know next week, if we're making a second one, I could know 2 months from now. And so there's a little bit of I don't know, but I'm not usually like that. I'm usually already ramping in and going into the next one. So I'm prepping a thriller. So I'm hoping to shoot it between this and the next one.
Does it take place in current times?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because if there's ever a scene where somebody's in the car and the radio happens to be on,
you know what?
Yeah.
Ironically, the movie opens with the radio program.
Come on,
let us be your auditory Yuki.
We're better than Yuki, right? We're better than Yuki.
Yes,
Come on.
we're more
whiter.
Best listened to. We're whiter than Yuki.
We're whiter than Yuki.
Definitely,
that's gonna be
done.
hard. Yes, cool. I know it.
It's done. You heard it. Oh,
I know
done.
it won't work in the Last Airbender 2. I know it won't make sense.
I'm insanely honored that this is the first stop on the press
First
tour.
stop.
Wow.
Yeah, we can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
And we're going to hold you to that the next movie.
I've got his assistant's email now. I'll just
Done.
Excellent. Well, hey, as we're speaking for the city, we're very proud of you. Thank you for coming by.
Well, thanks, guys. This was really fun.
Awesome, man. M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah! On the Preston and Steve Show.